Today I want to talk about a book by Martin Seligman, Dr. Martin Seligman. He's a cognitive psychologist. He wrote a book back in 1991 called Learned Optimism. I bought this book in a thrift store years ago, and I never read it. I'm a pessimist. You know how Tiger Woods is a golfer? That's how I am a pessimist. I'm like a world-class superpower pessimist, and why would a book on optimism really help me? So, but the optimism book doesn't help pessimists. Well, why would it ever? But I got more and more interested in my health. I got this book because so many people have written that becoming an optimist is very good for your health, also for many other things in your life. To be successful, to have good health, to good relationships. It's all around. Like vitamin C, help you see around corners. It's good for everything. So you know what? I gave it a shot. So I got the book out and I started reading it this summer, and I really enjoyed it. And I think it helped me. I'm not as much of a pessimist as I used to be. I'm leaning more and more toward becoming a flexible optimist, as recommended by Dr. Seligman. And I thought I would just go over this book today. This is interesting. Dr. Seligman spent years studying learned helplessness. He did studies initially on dogs, which was not a very nice thing. They would shock dogs, and they learned that some dogs um, would find a way to stop the shocks. Other dogs wouldn't. But there were some dogs that would give up immediately and wouldn't ever try to find ways to stop the shocks. Where other dogs, they never stopped trying to find ways. So his associates did this study with people with loud noises instead of shocks. And they discovered some people were the same way. They never gave up. Where other people, after a while, they became helpless. They just would stop trying, and they sat down. And they never continued to try to stop the loud noises. So they studied these people that never gave up, and they discovered that they had a certain style of explaining things in their life. And the more and more they studied this, they found that people who were very optimistic had a different way of looking at things and explaining things. Their explanatory style of their life was the most important. And next thing that Dr. Seligman discovered was that you could actually train people to have the same type of explanatory style for things that happened in their life and help them become optimists and thereby changing their life. Um, some people have said that this is like metaphysical boosterism. You can't change this and that, but he was able to show this in real world applications. He was able to go to like the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. They spend millions of dollars training new employees, and within a year or two, they're gone. They quit. So he was able to use his information, his studies, research, helping them pick new life insurance employees, and they had a 20% increase in people who stayed in the first year, 57% increase in the second year over their previous scientific methods of picking employees. He was also able to find the speeches and writings of past political candidates for a president, and going back to 1900, and pick uh, who would win by their optimistic style. Same thing with sports teams. He was able to pick who would win championships by their explanatory style of what was happening with their sports. It's fascinating, but it's more important is how this relates to individuals. So let's go over his contents real quick. Uh, Two ways of looking at life: learning to be helpless, explaining misfortune, ultimate pessimism, how you think, how you feel, uh, success at work, children and parents, their origins of optimism, school, sports, health, very important, politics, religion, culture, uh, then how to change from going from pessimist to an optimist, the optimistic life, helping your child escape pessimism, the optimistic organization, flexible optimism, and so on. So there's a lot of information. The key to it is the explanatory style of individuals. Whenever things happen, You have an adversity, then a belief about that adversity and the consequences. And he gives examples. And he found that whenever pessimist and optimist experience things, they had different styles. Uh, for They would be permanent in one case. The pessimist, if something happened bad to them, it was always permanent, where the optimistic was temporary. Examples would be like diets never work. That's pessimistic and is permanent. It never works. Optimistic, temporary. Diets don't work when you eat out. Or uh, the boss is a bastard. That's pessimistic, permanent. The boss is in a bad mood. Um, that's different. That's temporary. You never talk to me, permanent. You haven't talked to me lately, temporary. Um, so that's permanence on bad events. What about good events? It's the opposite. Pessimist, it's my lucky day. We're optimist, I'm always lucky. Temporary. Pessimistic, I try hard. Permanent, I'm talented. You're always trying hard, or it's something that's permanent. Uh, Temporary, my rival got tired. Pessimistic. Permanent, my rival is no good. I'm starting to like this optimist. So you can see the difference in the styles. Also, you have universal as opposed to specific. The pessimist, all teachers are unfair, universally. Optimistic, specific, Professor Seligman is unfair. Not all teachers. I'm repulsive. I'm repulsive to him. One thing is specific, one is universal. Universal is pessimistic. The optimist is specific. So also, the third thing in the explanatory style is hope. How much hope do they have? The pessimist says, I'm stupid. The hopeful gives a reason, say, I'm hungover, I'm not stupid. The pessimist says, it's 5 in 10 to slump is cancer. Of course, if I had it, 5 in 10 to slump is cancer and emphysema. Well, hopefully, it's 5 in 10 to slump is nothing. So it's hopeful. Hopeful. You have permanence versus evasive, pervasiveness, and hope. And then you have internal, external. This was the most interesting to me because as a pessimist, I always blame myself. I internalize everything. Where optimist, it's external. And it was wonderful to realize that I could change into an optimistic and actually blame other people, which is the most fun of being an optimist. Looks like you low self-esteem, pessimist, I'm stupid. External, you're stupid. I have no talent at poker. I have no luck at poker. I'm insecure. I grew up in poverty. What do you expect? you blame other things. You externalize, or I would internalize everything. So this has been an eye opener to me. I didn't realize how much of often I internalize things and how much fun it is to externalize things. So from that point alone, I'm kind of enjoying the optimism. Now, how do you go about changing? Um, the becoming an optimist. Of course, I want to emphasize Dr. Seligman does say there is many beneficial uses for being a pessimist. You wouldn't want a chief financial officer to be a optimist, or an airline pilot, or a truck driver, maybe. Sometimes it's better to be a flexible optimist, where you can still have a vision, but you can see realistically. That's the advantage pessimists have, is they're more realistic. Someone said that's why, in a way, depressed people, they can see things more clearly. But the optimistic life, how to actually change from being a pessimist to an optimist. There again, you use the ABCs, the adversity, the belief, and the consequences, but then you want to come up with ways to dispute that belief system. So they have in the book things you can write down, your examples of your beliefs, and the adversity and so on and the consequences. But at the end of when you have what was the consequence, how do you change that consequence? And they do it by disputation, distancing, evidence, and alternatives. So let's go over some examples. He doesn't give any ones that are very relatable to me. I mean, one is about someone lost some earrings and one had a bad dinner party. Not exactly uh, uh, compatible with my life, but let's go into one. Adversity. I threw a dinner party for a group of friends, and the person I was trying to impress barely touched her food. That was the adversity. Poor person. That's their big problem. Belief that food tastes putrid. I'm a lousy cook. I might as well forget getting to know her any better. I'm lucky she didn't get up and leave in the middle of dinner. Consequences. I feel disappointed and angry at myself. I was so embarrassed about my cooking that I wanted to avoid her for the rest of the night. Obviously, things weren't going as I had hoped. So, adversity, belief, consequences. So, how do you change it? One is by disputing. You kick your butt out of your belief system. You attack it. You dispute it. So, this is ridiculous. You dispute. I know the food doesn't taste putrid. Evidence. She may have not eaten very much, but everyone else did. Evidence. There could be 100 reasons why she didn't eat much. Alternatives. She could be on a diet. Alternative. She might not have been feeling great. Alternative. She might have just had a small appetite. Alternative. Even though she didn't eat much, she did seem to enjoy the dinner. Evidence. She told some funny stories and she seemed to be relaxed. Evidence. She even offered to help with the dishes. Evidence. She wouldn't have done that if she was repulsed by me. Alternative. Energization. I didn't feel nearly as embarrassed or angry, and I realized that if I avoided her, then I really would hurt my chances of getting to know her better. Basically, I was able to relax and not let my imagination ruin the evening for me. Let me give you one thing that is relatable to me. Over the summer, after I'd read the book, I'd gotten a new phone. For me, I'd have a flip phone for years. I finally got my first smartphone and I was using it and I thought I had changed the phone number. I called my sister. She didn't answer. Next day, I called. She didn't answer. Next day, I called. She didn't answer. Fourth day, in my head, I'm going through all these reasons. I called other people in my family. Didn't answer either. So I'm thinking, well, did I say something to them? Did I make everybody upset? What did I do? And then, well, I didn't do anything. And then I'm thinking, well, maybe something's happened to them. But then all of them aren't can't be all of them. Something happened to all of them. And then, well, maybe something happened to them and they don't want to tell me. They know I have like a heart situation. I don't want to have a drama in my life. Maybe an AFib will come back and they're going to tell me something really bad news. And now, so in the past, I would have been thinking all these things. So what I did is I disputed all these belief systems and I put things in perspective and I didn't let things get out of control. And it helped me live my life better. And eventually I used another phone to call my sister. And she said that the phone I was using initially had a different phone number that she had recognized. So she didn't answer it. So, and my other family members, half the time they just use text. They don't use email or phone messages. If you don't send them a text, they don't respond. They live in a different planet. So, so, so if in the past I would have been really working myself up on what was going on, and I was able to compartmentalize that problem I had and keep it from growing and festering and ruminating on it. So the book was helpful to me. So I think it was a good book to read, and it was a very helpful skill to learn. And the idea that a lot of depression comes from the things we think about is an important one to ponder and to take action on if that's something you believe in. And there's so much evidence that being an optimist does increase your lifespan, your health, and so many aspects of your life if it's flexible. You don't want to be the pie in the sky and ignore everything, but be flexible, as the doctor says. I don't agree with everything the doctor said in the book. Toward the end, he's talking about some things. He goes off on a tangent a little bit, I think. Also, he wrote another book subsequent to this called about happiness, and I don't think it was better than this one. I think I would not recommend it over this one. This has all you really need to know to get started. If you were interested in trying to become a more of an optimist than a pessimist, it has quizzes in the book that can help you determine how much of a pessimist or optimist you are, or how depressed you are even. Um, it's it's a really, I think, one of the best books I read last year in the summer. And there was a book I read last summer called Aging Well, and they studied a group of people, several groups of people, from when they were like children to when they were in their 80s. And it's a longitudinal study. And the person that was reviewing the study said that the key thing he discovered for success in life, uh, after reviewing the study of all those people and all those studies over their entire lifetime, was one key thing, was good mental health. He said that without that, you could have many, many bad things in your life, but so long as you had good mental health, you had a chance of becoming successful in life. But without good mental health, you had zero chance of becoming successful and happy in life. And I think becoming an optimist is something that would be another option, another ace up your sleeve, another edge, another something to have at your disposal to get through life and to be successful. It's a very good book, Dr. Martin Seligman. I recommend it, and I think you might want to investigate it some more if you're a pessimist like I am. If you're an optimist, you've already bought this book 5 minutes ago. You went to Amazon and you've already bought a used copy, or contact your library to keep a copy ordered for you so you can go get it. If you're a pessimist, you're still thinking about it. But I hope this was enjoyable to you. This is my second new video in my new channel. That shows you how much of an optimist I am. After 15 years of making a new video every week at my Robb's Homemade Life, I've started a new channel called Robb's Healthy Wealthy Tips, and this is the second video I've made. So that's how optimistic I am. I've started a new channel after 15 years, trying again to be successful on YouTube. All right, guys, take care. See you out there. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back, watch more.